gentlemen, welcome to the Joe Show, where we look at how events from the present day are related to events from the past. Tonight, we will be considering how the recent uprisings in Libya relate to the French Revolution. Does history repeat itself? To find out, we'll need some background information on the French Revolution. Let me introduce to you Andre Jakes, a reporter coming to us live from Paris in the days after the revolution. Mr. Jakes, can you please give our viewers a brief overview of the revolution in France?
Thanks, Joe. The French Revolution has just recently died out. It was a massive upheaval in political and religious values in France. The cost of previous wars has decimated the wealth of France, and Louis XVI inherited a mess. Financial problems were causing serious turmoil throughout France. The rich had a good life, but at the expense of the poor. Finally, the people of France were fed up. They had tolerated Louis XVI and his inactive rule for too long. No longer did they wish to starve while the king lived in glamour. America, having just come out of a revolution, inspired the French people to storm the Bastille, beginning one of the most memorable revolutions in history. Though the Bastille housed few prisoners, it was a target for rebel forces because it contained many different weapons. Eventually, after countless protests and battles, the king was found and executed. He was condemned to the guillotine, and his execution was one of the biggest public events in Europe. The revolutionary movement that shook France started in 1787 and reached its climax in 1789. Joe?
Now, I'm sure you could talk all day about that topic, Andre, but we do have a time limit. Let's take our discussion forward a few centuries. Like the French Revolution, the revolt in Libya has not only taken many lives, but has come to the attention of the whole world. The USA, Great Britain, and even France have sent some sort of aid to Libya. To elaborate on the topic, I'll call in historian Carter Maxfield. So, Mr. Maxfield, can you please explain the many events leading up to the revolution in Libya?
Thanks, Joe. Libya is located in the northern part of Africa, bordering Egypt. Muammar al-Gaddafi was one of the longest-serving non-royal leaders in the world, ruling for over 40 years. Born in 1942, he was a young boy when he heard of an Egyptian soldier who overthrew the Egyptian government. Gamal Abdel Nasser took control of Egypt in 1954. Gaddafi was inspired by this, and he hoped to one day take over Libya. He enrolled in military school and studied armored warfare. In 1969, at the age of 27, he and his friends overthrew the government, and Gaddafi became the leader of the country. He was a ruthless dictator who sponsored many terrorist organizations. His rule over the country was brutal. He had no problem with killing his own citizens. The people of Libya were aware of the revolutions that had recently taken place in Egypt and Tunisia. Gaddafi had treated his people poorly, and the revolutions in neighboring countries could have prompted Libyans to start their own revolution. He was just recently overthrown and killed by the rebel forces in Libya.
I can see why the revolution in Libya started, but what did the revolt accomplish? Did defying the government's rule get the people what they wanted? We'll find out after the break.
Libya has been terrorized for decades. Libya's tyrannous leader, Muammar Gaddafi, has finally been killed, and Libya is now working its way towards peace. Libya is a country that needs help to get back on its feet. Legs for Libya is a non-profit organization that will help provide aid to civilians who have been injured or have family members who have fought for the rebellion. All they need is your help. Please donate any amount that you can spare. Every penny counts. You could save lives. Our call lines are open. We are looking forward to your call.
Welcome back. Previously on the show, we looked at the French Revolution and the revolt in Libya. To answer our questions on Libya, I present to you Mr. Darren Selly, our reporter stationed in Libya.
Thank you, Joe. I'm here in Libya in the city of Tripoli. As you can see, I'm in an area that was heavily bombed in 2011. Repairs have been made to many parts of Tripoli, but there is still plenty of work to do to repair all of the damage. On March 17th of 2011, a no-fly zone was established by the UN over Libya. The reason for this was to protect the civilians from Gaddafi's bombs that continuously rained from above. This was crucial for the rebels if they were to defeat Gaddafi. The rebels had almost no weapons, especially anti-air weaponry, which allowed them to be bombed countless times. It is believed that other revolutions, specifically the Egyptian Revolution, inspired the rebellion in Libya. It is easy for information to pass from country to country in a matter of hours through social networking. Later this week, I will be traveling to Misrata. This was another important tactical city for the rebels. It presented the benefit of sailing from Cairo to Misrata, then traveling by land to Tripoli. In other words, Misrata ultimately granted the rebels access to Tripoli. Okay, back to you, Joe.
Thanks, Darren. Both the French Revolution and the revolt in Libya were caused by civilians deciding not to put up with inactivity and corruption in government. Usually, a revolt springs up when the government has been inactive during a time of poverty. Before the French Revolution, Louis XVI neglected the cries of help from the poor. Before the revolution in Libya, Gaddafi had done nothing to prevent unemployment sweeping across the nation. He ordered his military to kill civilians mercilessly. In Libya, if you spoke out against the government, you were executed. This was the same case in France at the time of Louis XVI's rule. The interesting thing about revolutions is that one revolution can lead to another. Both of these revolutions were inspired by revolutions that had taken place in other countries. When one country sees that another is revolting against their government, they may start considering doing the same. There were a lot of similarities between these revolutions, giving us reason to believe history repeats itself. Unless, of course, we learn from it. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you next time. You stay classy, America.